Says we're alive.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
My head hurts a lot.
You know what you should do? I'm Gizz Lazlo.
I'm just Paul.
Jeez, you're really down today, huh?
Well, I was able to work till 2 a.m. That's the you and the thing.
Yeah. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with our guests' microphones, so
Yeah, these
I got
Fisher
'em-
Price
I
computers
got
have got to
'em-
go.
Oh, man, Scott from Almost Famous called
He
me
hates us. He hates us.
last Tuesday. He's like, man, you guys got to get it. Stop using the Commodore 64.
Yeah, I think it's Commodore 62 and a half. We're working on it. We finally got the room vacant. We're going to start the remodel process, put a little bit of a grid, do a seamless, make it fun. But that costs money and takes work, and I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, I'm hungover.
That's not what I am at all. It was 18 hours yesterday of backbreaking, intense labor, and stupidity. I didn't want to talk about it. How's your week?
All right. Had some scary days over the weekend.
Yeah.
And let's see. He's in the studio. Nothing happened with me special this week. Got some personal issues I'm dealing with, but we're gonna get our guest in and see if we can solve this problem, and we're just gonna get into it tonight. It's the first time we're actually reset everything, and let's see what's gonna happen here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
What I did is I had to plug in my Bluetooth headphones, connect them to the computer, and use them that way. So that way you could hear me from the headphones.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Am I loud enough?
I'm gonna keep talking.
Am I loud enough for you guys?
Yeah, I can control your volume here.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure because I have them in. You're coming out of the earbuds as opposed to the computer. Why the computer freaked out, I don't know.
Is it an Apple?
Weird.
No, it's a Dell something.
Oh, it's a Dell. That's all you say.
Yeah, really, right?
Give me a kiss, baby girl.
Let's see which way we're going.
You come towards me.
This is weird. Maybe I can just move the camera a little
Do
bit.
you want your helmet? This is now, by the way. And now I need to be in the middle. You should be over there. We know who runs this show.
Man. Hey, all right. Well, first of all, let's introduce our guest, Omar. I've known Omar since I was 14, 15 years old. I don't know how I got to look older than you.
I do.
You still look good. I love the beard. Look at that thing. It's fluffy. But
one of those things.
I met Omar when I was again like 14, 15 years old. I was playing for a Christian punk rock band called Cross, and Omar and his brother were in a band called Scattered Few, and they were like just amazing guys, amazing band that kind of just set the standard and the path for punk bands that weren't didn't think like regular punk bands, and I don't know, Omar just always treated me like with respect, and just as a kid it just I don't know, like Ronald was like this. It just seemed like everybody who surrounded themselves around Ronald was or Alan was just enamored with him, and he had this presence about him. But Omar was just a regular dude. Like you could talk to him, and it wasn't you didn't feel like like it
You are hungover.
that, and just I'm trying to find the right words because I don't want to describe Alan in a really bad way, because he wasn't a bad guy. He just I don't know. He just had this. I don't know. It was I don't want to say ego, but it was just, I don't know. It was just, I got along with Omar more than I did with Alan. And it was just weird because I haven't seen Omar. This is the first time we've been like looking at each other face to face in 40 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I was 15. I'm 55 this year. It's
What did he do to you? What did he touch you, Omar?
Well, I'll turn.
I don't know.
I turned 60 tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Woo.
You know who he reminds me of? Joey. His
A little
voice,
bit, yeah.
his voice, and if Joey knew how to grow a beard.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is nothing.
Let's start from the beginning. Like we talked earlier this week, and I told you what our show's about. It's about your story. So, what got you into music? What got you into punk rock?
That's a great question. What got me into music is my brother and a friend of ours named Louie. They were doing, like a garage band thing. I wanted to be part of it, but a guitar has 6 strings, and I'm thinking I'm not going to manipulate 6 strings because 4 fingers, So, so I was like, I'll do bass, and so I was like 13 at the time. So I'm getting out of 6th grade, going into 7th grade. And that summer is when I started to learn how to play bass. And punk rock was just because, I mean, I wasn't really a disco person or a rock person. And, Pistols, they appealed to me sonically, I mean, it's younger kids are always oh, my older sibling got me into this or got me into that, but my brother was listening to that stuff, and of course I was listening to it too because I liked it. And that stuff, Pistols, Ramones, early Clash, that kind of stuff, and it just went on from there. Listening to everything. That's where it started.
It's so weird. Like
It really revolves around 4 bands.
Yeah.
Almost always. It's always like, one of the big 4 kind of thing.
Yeah. Were you ever a fan of the Nils?
No, I'd never heard of them.
They're
NILLS?
a Canadian band.
Nils?
NILS. NILS. And
Okay, no.
they, between Paul and I, we've kind of figured out, like, I think the Nils were the seed, not even the roots, the seed to what, like, punk bands, flourished from and grew from and had influence.
I think in the Northeast, especially in Canada, like, if you listen through a full album, you're going to hear 25 or 30 bands that you'll love.
Yeah.
From Who's to the Replacements, all the way to the Posies. Like, you're going to hear this really rudimentary rock and roll that just exists in that space. And they harnessed it in 1978.
Mm.
And it's not childish. It's also not really grown up. It's what punk rock was really meant to be. Like, I could see Joe Strummer really loving those guys. I could see the Ramones really loving those guys. And I mean, Husker do open for them. And so the way that the punk rock kind of evolved, at least in my own opinion, like, having a Christian punk band, that goes against everything that everybody thinks should be, but that's actually the world ethos there. It's like, this is who I am. This is what I want to represent. I'm a recovering Catholic, thank God. But that is going against the grain as much as anything that there was. Is like, we're a Christian punk band. So there's still the angst. There's still the question. There's still the looking inward and, helping outwardly. It's a really interesting place to be. And back when you were doing it in 84 and 5, what was your reception outside of more of a Christian crowd?
Well, we were doing it actually from 83 to 84. And we just, I don't know, I thought we fit in. There wasn't, I mean, we had done a gig one time with Sin 34, and there was no sound system in the club, and we brought a PA with us, set it up for everybody, and did the show. And we did a couple of other shows. There was one, it was called The Barn. It was this back garage in somebody's house in Burbank, California. And we did a show there. That was a lot of fun. And just, I guess to the best that I can remember, there wasn't any weirdness or anything like that. It's not like we weren't really overt. I mean, if people wanted to know what we were about, we would tell them, because it was a way we were trying to witness our belief at the time, to youth in need and explaining to them, there's hope out there. We were also involved with there was a guy, John Macinas, I think was his last name. He had a band called Circle One, and we were helping. He had a place called the Wig Shop. It used to be a wig manufacturing place. We had a bunch of street punks in California or in Hollywood. They were squatting there, so we would bring food there and blankets and clothes that we could find for them to use since they were homeless, just trying to do an outreach kind of thing. But, I thought we were received well, by the regular world people, if you want, for lack of a better term of it. Christians couldn't, they couldn't handle it at all. At all.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I can see you being ostracized from that community because you're just a little too rowdy and a little too devilish.
Well, I mean, when we were recording in '83 in the Maranatha Studios, some Christian execs came in to the lobby or whatever, the recording session, and they were like, "Oh, they were basically saying that the music that they had already started funding, if you will, which back at that time was like Early Undercover, Altar Boys, that kind of thing. I can't remember all the names of the groups, but they were saying, "Oh, that's the hardest it'll go," or whatever like that. And we had a fanzine, punk rock fanzine. I don't even remember which one it was. But my brother opened it up to an ad of a band called the Crucifix, okay? And their label, their sticker or whatever, their thing for their album was a crucifix of ejaculating penises with a Messiah image with a hard-on ejaculating. That was their logo. And we showed it to them. And we said, This is what's going on in the world right now. This is what they're doing to your Messiah, to your belief. This is what we're trying to witness to. This is what we're trying to reach." And they were just, their faces just went whiter than my beard, and they just got up and they left. They wanted nothing to do with us. Nothing. It was crazy.
I remember those early mid '80s, the Exploited, and bands like, the English bands, just all their imagery was like anti-Christ and, and all that. And
Flux.
Yeah. And it was being a teenager and growing up in my town where, it was predominantly Nazis and getting my ass kicked all the time. I wanted to be part of the scene, but I wanted to be something that set me apart. I mean, isn't that what punk rock is about?
Yeah.
Is being yourself. And, being a Mexican, being a Christian, being a punk in my town, it was hard. But, meeting you guys and then meeting Rich and Sean and, Ted and Corey, just, we started our own little thing, and we were, back in the 80s, there was always, these punk rock gangs, FFF and Lads, and all these
Lads.
And you had to be, if you wanted to be taken serious, you had to be a part of a gang. So ours was GFH, Grande Foothill Hardcore.
Oh God, it was a bunch of fat kids or what?
Pretty much. But we stuck together and we did our thing. But that's, those beginnings of making my first records and making, our first treks out of town, really appealed to me. And here I am 40 years later, and, I still do it because I love being on the road. I love creating music with as many people as possible. And, the last couple of nights since we spoke on the phone, I've been going back and listening. I listened to all the Scattered for You records again, and it took me back to that time of being proud, that we were different, and we had our own scene, and we did protect each other. And then, being mentored by you and your brothers, just like it was, there were good times, man. It made me who I am today. Like I still.
Oh, so it's his fault.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
That's why he has a beard.
I was.
You financed the beard?
But I can't say enough. The Crucified, they were a great band. We had an interview last year with Todd Trout from Game Face, and I don't know how it came up. Christian Punk came up, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, you remember the Crucified?" And he goes, "Look." He picks up his pant leg, and he had a tattoo of the Crucified logo. I'm like, "Wow, man!" Like,
TD's awesome.
40 years later, this is 40 years now that I've been
not growing up.
Yeah, I stopped growing up at 15, 16 years old because this is what I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be in bands and
I think that's one thing that the punk rock does afford us is the ability to Peter Pan our way out of here. I mean, we really don't have to. And I look around, it's like, the way I tried to dress a little nicer when I was, kind of in my 30s or late 30s, early 40s, and I realized looking around, I'm like, well, fuck that. What does it matter? Look at Billy Idol. He's 136.
Johnny Rotten?
Oh, he's not even a real person anymore. Throw him off a bridge.
So we settled on Ramones, The Clash, and Sex Pistols. Definitely those were the early bands, And
then you threw Black Light in
there. That came out a little bit later. When the issues like with Scattered for You guys, 83 to 85, and then I did say this, mentioned it on my Facebook account earlier this week, that like Cygnet was the first band that I ever heard where because I didn't like new wave. I didn't like, back then it was death rock, which I guess is now goth.
Oh God!
But you guys, paved the way with that too. With Cygnet, it was like what beautiful music, just. I remember getting the cassette from you and listening to that just nonstop. It was such great music. Like it turned me on to like Bauhaus and Sisters of Mercy and
Sure.
Love and Rock, The Cure, and like Cure was my guilty pleasure until I was in my 30s. I never let anybody know I liked The Cure, but
I knew it right away.
But The Cure, if it wasn't for The Cure, it wouldn't have maybe the drummer that I am. Back in 83, 84, and Just Like Heaven came out, and the video came out, and it was the drummer. He had a 4-piece kit, hi-hat, and one cymbal that was upside down, and that sound that came out of that cymbal, like what is that? That China cymbal has become my staple as a drummer. I have 3 when I play, because it just I don't know, but you guys were the ones that made me like, okay, well, I need to reach further. That was the thing about being a Christian punk, was I wasn't scared of anything. I could, take from everything.
check into your bed at night.
and make it, you know, something of my own. But Cygnet opened up that just the melodic, that beautiful music, man, and, you know, just.
So if we get past like the, you know, the big 3 or 4 bands as you're growing and you're getting, you know, obviously older like we do, what started to influence you that gave you that ability to like find your way into more melody, more structured content? You know, I mean, did you get into jazz, classical? Like, where did you wind up?
Well, in junior high, I started playing. Well, in 7th grade, I started playing upright. So I was playing orchestra as well as jazz. And then in junior high, 8th grade, I auditioned for the Junior Philharmonic Orchestra of Los Angeles under Dr. Ernest Katz, and got in, played with them for 2.5 seasons. That was amazing. So all through junior high and about I think the middle of 10th grade is when I stopped playing with the orchestra. But in that whole time period, it was the most prolific musical period because I was playing punk rock, new wave, classical, jazz, Dixieland, rock with friends. So I mean, it was you know, all the music you could possibly play, I played. But bands also back at the time, you know, 78, 79, 80. We're talking about, you know, that's first album by the B-52s, Devo's first 2 records.
Yeah.
XTC, which Colin Moulding, huge influence on my playing. I'm totally spacing. I said XTC. Oh, Elvis Costello. Bruce. I can't remember his last name, but the bass player for Elvis Costello in the Attractions, right? The guy from the Attractions. That guy is a huge melodic player. Totally, there's not enough people who know about that guy. His bass lines on anything Elvis wrote is just, his bass lines are amazing. So there's a lot of that, you know. The early 80s, you had a bunch of really cool new wave that was happening, you know. I wish I Haircut 100, right? They had some cool stuff. There are so many bands in that, from 80 to 84, in that new wave pop kind of, you know, dude, Crowded House, or go back to the 78, Split Ends, and everything that exists because of Split Ends, right? Your Crowded House, your Squeeze, all of that. Those bands are just amazing. And all of that, you know, has influenced me as a musician, and which, you know, a lot of that is incorporated in what you hear. Well, okay, so Cygnet is predominantly my brother's project, right? Those songs were written by him. A lot of them are his. A lot of it is based on the arrangements that he wanted for that. If he had an idea, hey, you know, can you play this while this is happening? Sure, no problem. But a lot of what I played was pretty much left to me. But yeah, we did that from, I don't know, from like 86, 87, 88 into like the middle of 89, when we decided to pick up the mantle again to do Scattered Few. And that's based on a buddy of mine, Drew Fisher. He ran sound for a lot of those Christian rock or metal bands. Barren Cross was one in particular. And Drew would go and tour all over the U.S. with these guys. And he had a cassette tape of us playing at parties and studio stuff and recordings of our rehearsals. And he would play it at his as the opening music of a lot of these shows. and people would come up to him and say, "Dude, who is that?" And he had this original Scatterfuse sticker, this little round sticker on his Anvil briefcase that he carried around, and it was people would say, "Where did you get that sticker?" And he goes, "Oh, I know those guys." And they would just freak out, like, "How do you know them? What happened to them? Where are they?" And he would come back from doing these road tours, and he would say, he would tell me and he would tell my brother, because we'd be hanging together. He'd say, "Dudes, you all just need to do Scattered Few again. You have a national following. You just need to do it again." And my brother and I were like, "Dude, we tried that, man. We got rejected. We're not, no, we're not doing that again. No." And we just brushed him off. "Drew, I love you, but that's not going to happen, man." And so the whole Cygnet thing, the middle of '89, I think. I'm not really sure about the date, but around that time, kind of stopped happening. And we were talking with my buddy Drew, and he's like, "You guys just need to do Scattered Few." So my brother and I had a talk, and we said, "Well, if we were to really do that, we're gonna have to. Music is different now, 1989, because what we were doing in 1983, it could work, but music's different. It's not the same. So we're gonna have to rework whatever it is that we're doing to fit with what's going on now." And so he reached back out to Terry and said, "Hey, let's see if we can do this." And that was probably in like October or November of '89, and in February of '90, we were recording in the studio, Synthesis. And then it came out in July 4th, I believe. Cornerstone. Yeah, it was fun. Crazy, but what makes us also different in that reality is that we're recording it in February. It comes out in July, and in September we're touring with HR. That's it.
Which is cool as hell.
That was the realness of what we were doing as musicians. There weren't other people in that genre, if you know what I mean, Exian music. They weren't doing that, right? We were serious about what we were doing. I'm not saying that they weren't, but we were street credible. We had already, as Cygnet, we had already done a party in '88 or '89. I don't even remember when it was, an SST barbecue party where we provided the sound and the equipment for HR and his then Human Rights Band, with Earl and Kenny Dredd and Dave Byers. They used our equipment to play their set. So we already had that relationship, going on. I mean, that was predominantly a relationship because my brother Alan had struck up a friendship with HR. So that's how this whole thing with him contacting my brother in '90 saying, "Can you guys do charge, set up some shows on the West Coast, blah, blah, blah." And, we end up touring, doing a show, and did another SST barbecue as one of the first shows during that stint. So man, that was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And then went into the studio and recorded Rock of Enoch, which SST released in '92. That one.
What did you work at SST?
I think 93, 94. I work at the Superstore. Check the comments. Are we getting anything here?
No.
Minimalize this. Yeah, that was an adventure. Nobody? Yeah, see stuff. No.
Do you remember Randy Roberts?
Yes. Why do I know that name?
He knew your brother really well. Back went to church with you guys in Burbank. I was having dinner with him one night, him and his family, and we're just, he's a music lover just like I am, and he's like, "Do you remember a band back in the '80s called Scattered for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know Rommel, I know Omar." And he called your brother, and they were on the phone. And he goes, "Do you remember Gizz?" He goes, "No, I have no idea who he is." And he goes,
God.
Hold on. I think his name was Izzy back then. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
yeah.
God. You went by Izzy?
Yeah.
You were fucking forever screwed.
And I got on the phone, "Hey, Ronald," and your brother was like, "That's not my name anymore." I was like, "Ooh, shit."
Yeah.
My name is Alan Aguirre. All right.
No. Aguirre.
Aguirre. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
They
now I'm
call
gonna
me-
get in trouble again.
They call me Harry Rainbow.
Yeah. No, they call me the Streak. I don't know.
I remember that night after talking to Randy and then talking to your brother, it was just like it brought back all these memories of, like I don't remember anything from school, but I do remember those years of, becoming a drummer and being in a band. Because the first band I was ever in that I performed on an actual stage at the Oasis in Hollywood was with Cross, and then shortly after, I knew it was Rommel back then, and he'll always be Rommel to me.
Aguirre.
Not Alan. I had no idea who
Dude.
Alan was, and
HR still calls him. HR still calls him Rommel. I saw HR a week ago,
How do you?
and he still calls him Rommel. That's how HR met him. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Gizz was a name given to me in high school. So people that knew me in junior high school call me Izzy or by my actual given name. It's not even pronounced, correctly. So I get it, when I hear people from my childhood and they call me by my real name. It's like, that's my dad's name. That's not my name. I don't want to tarnish my dad's name.
Well, you've done a very piss poor job of not tarnishing your dad's name.
But so you weren't even in the band like in '95, right?
No. Well,
no.
The end of 90 by the end of 95, no.
That's when Tooth and Nail approached you guys, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I remember Tooth and Nail. They were they released Dave's Acre, which was the singer for the Crucified. He had a secular, maybe Christian punk band, MXPX. I can even say Too Bad Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have you ever heard Too Bad Eugene?
No.
I
have not.
They're a punk band, but I think they do have belief and they sing
absolutely.
About it.
We interviewed Adam. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's such a great guy, but like the first time I met him, I came across them on Instagram and I heard one of their songs, like, oh man, I love these guys, and I introduced the band to my band Foreclosure, and I was like, I want to play with these guys. They're great. They have a great sound. And within a couple of weeks, I was told, hey, yeah, we're gonna play with them in Oakland. We went up to Oakland, played with these guys, and immediately when I met Adam, their singer bass player, I was like, dude, I'm a fan. And he's like, oh really? Oh, okay, easy guy.
Fanboy.
And then by the end of the night, we were talking, and then once he saw me perform and I saw him perform, we started talking, and I told him, yeah, I kind of been trolling you on social media. Like, you have a worship background, don't you? And he's like, yeah, how did you know? I just by the way you sing, it's coming
that's
from
a little racist.
What?
By the way you sing, you can tell somebody's a Christian or not?
No,
Oh.
that they grew up, in a worship band.
Okay.
Because worship bands, like when I was part of a worship band, so you play along, and you bring music down. It's like, it's a different
All right.
world.
It's nothing I've ever heard. That's why I'm like,
Yeah. And he and I we just get along. I told him you were going to be on, and he got really excited. He wanted to see it. Todd.
Oh, nice.
At being, like a lot of there's a lot of friends that I have that we come from, a certain background, and you guys were, a huge part of that. And do you remember any of the underground bands that came out of that time? Like, because there was always like a secular punk band, and then they had like their Christian,
hidden identity, like Batman kind of thing.
Well, no, like almost like a doppelganger.
Yeah.
Like Flipper had GVA, God's Victorious Army. Remember Burrito?
Yeah,
Radicals for Christ.
I don't remember a lot of the names of those bands, and I personally never liked or used if you like this secular band, you could listen to this Christian band because they're like the alternative of this. I just that is not, our mindset in Scattered Few was we're a band and we're putting out music. We happen to sing about what we believe in, but we're writing music of what we believe, needs. We're writing music to the caliber of what the world says is the caliber or standard that needs to be used. I made some in the mid '80s. I made some Exian believers that I knew back then really mad one time because we were discussing Christian music and what I thought of it, good or bad or whatever. So I played for them a song by XTC called "Dear God," which is off of I can't remember right now. English.
That was their demo.
Huh?
That was on the demo for their first album. It was on the demo.
I don't know.
For their first album.
I don't know. I think it's on English Settlement. And it's a song that's so anti-belief, right? But it was done. The orchestration was brilliant. The musicality was brilliant. The lyrical content was brilliant. They put across what they thought and believed, or Andy Partridge put across what he thought and believed in that song in just an impeccable way. And when it got done playing, they looked at me horrified. And I said, that's what Christian music needs to do. If you want to impress the world, you need to do that. Take your belief and position and put it into that kind of a package. Until that happens, it's never going to compare. It's never going to get anyone's attention, and no one will listen. It's just the way it is. And they weren't very pleased about that at all.
But that's the thing I think I respected the most about you guys, the Scattered Few, was you didn't sink into that mold. Okay, we're the Christian version of this. You guys had your own sound. You guys, it was, it was there. You listened to it, and like for me as a young kid listening to Scattered Few, it was just like, wow, this is new, this is good, this is original, this is saying something, where as other Christian bands at the time, even the Crucified, I mean, they had songs that mirrored Minor Threat or GBH, and they were trying to, like sync, like, okay, if you like you said earlier, like if you like this, then you like this, but the Scattered Few never, to me, was never that. You guys were your own sound, and everything that came about you guys, it was true, it was unique, and you believed in it, you know. And as a
Did
young
you feel
kid,
that way about
that's
did you feel that way about Jawbone?
that was a weird record because it was, you guys were growing into a sound, you know, and it just, I don't know, it like it was more reggae, you know, and it just
On the spot.
yeah, like
Good job.
but it still was original, you know. Like I never, I don't know why, like I was reading your guys' Wikipedia and it said you guys were like, you know, James Addiction and Charles Mingus. Maybe the bass playing, yes, because you're a brilliant bass player, but the James Addiction, I just, maybe Cygnet was more like that, you know, powder drums and stuff. And that's another thing too about Scaterd. You guys always had great drummers. You know, the drums on all your records were just, you know, phenomenal. I wish I could have played like that back then. I wish I could play that now.
Me too. So speaking of bass, what do you play through? What's your go-to on stage and in the studio? What do you like to play through?
Instrument or amp?
Well, you're like a bass setup.
I have right now. I play through a Gallon Kruger 210, and it's powered by a Carvin micro head 250 watt. And then I play my I have a Carvin LB70 fretless 4-string that I play through. Pretty much it.
That's a sound though. Fretless. I mean, fretless is easy.
I mean, I have.
What's that
I have
behind
that
you?
That's an upright bass. I have an upright. I have a Dean EAB fretless acoustic electric. Also, I have a Hadeen ukulele fretless bass, and somebody I know years ago, a number of years ago now, gifted me a Fender Squier jazz bass. So it's my fretted bass. Basically, it was, she bought it. She had it for like 4 or 5 years. She never played it, and she just wanted to give it a good home and asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, yes, absolutely. You know, the jazz bass, no problem, Mom. Yeah. Don't mind if I do. But yeah, those are my toys. I have another. Well, I still have. There's a red Flying V. Why am I gapping on the head of it? It's a Kramer bass. It's got like a little V headstock, and it's a red Flying V looking bass. That's on like you can hear that on the recordings of Out of the Attic. On some of those tracks, I'm playing that in some of the live cuts. And I have my original Hofner. I think it's a 68 fretless. It's all in. It's missing pieces. It needs to be restored. I would love to restore it, but that's a dollar thing. Go fund me, right?
I know.
But it's my original fretless. It's the way I played it on the early days of Cygnet. I was playing that bass. Yeah, the action was like this high, neck, string. It was horrible.
Oh yeah,
the action was horrible. Used to swell my hand really bad.
Oh man.
Even his hands are
But,
a little bit.
Well, I have small hands for a bass player.
Do you play any other instruments?
No, I do not. Well, I mean, I could fake rhythm guitar. I mean, but I'm not a guitarist.
Yeah.
I know your basic chord structure for a bar chord for either A or D, you know, and I know some of the other chords, the open chords, but I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a guitarist at all. I'm a bassist. That's my primary gig right there. Even in writing songs, it's just me and my fretless. That's how Look
Wow,
Into My
that's
Side came
difficult.
about, you know. Well, my solo disc is just bass compositions, really.
So little Stuart Ham there.
No, but yeah, no tapping. I know how to do
Oh,
it, but
okay.
I
No
just
slapping, tapping.
well, I can slap. I mean, you can hear it on Scattered few stuff, but I don't really do any tapping. I do on my solo disc. There's a song called oh, why can't I remember the name of the song? That's really sad. Anyway, I do tapping on that one at the beginning and in the bridge. Um,
Okay.
Mistress. Originally, it was supposed to be called Mistress Sativa, but I didn't call it that. I ended up calling it something else, which I can't even remember. Anyway,
Saliva.
Speaking of sativa, like what year was it? 91 when your brother did an interview about that, and you guys got dropped from the label, or
probably. I mean, look, back in those days, all those label dudes, they're drinking wine during the day. They're all drinking wine and alcohol or whatever, and they're like okay with that, and whatever buzz they get from there. And when I openly admitted, yeah, I smoke herb. Period. I'm not. Why lie about it? That was my thorn in the flesh, is the way I explained it back then. But I haven't smoked herb since spring of '95. So I haven't. I don't do that anymore.
Every time he tries, he loses a beard. So who's your biggest bass playing here? Like the number one big dude. I mean, people have Entwistle, people have got Les Claypool. What do you throw up to number one?
Man, see, that's a rough one because I don't necessarily have a number one. I mean,
It could be genre. Number one jazz, number one rock, number one punk. You could go like genre on that.
I would say I would think that Percy Jones from Brand X would be my number one. I think. I think his expression on fretless is just amazing. It's just,
Yeah.
But I mean, but if I had to put like a few bass players in a jar and mix it up and say this is why I play the way that I do, it would be Percy, it would be Jocko, it would be Colin Moulding from XTC, it would be Trevor Boulder from the early Bowie records for sure. Tony Visconti on the records that he played on for sure. And Bruce, I don't know his last name. The guy who's on the early Elvis or almost all of Elvis Costello's records. That guy's bass playing is just very, very good. So I would say those guys in a blender would be why I play, I think, the way that I do. And then if you go like the more obscure jazz references for me would be like Mingus for sure.
Oh yeah.
Just because as a composer, salt peanuts, just some crazy stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah. So are you doing live gigs still? Are you still playing out, or what do you got going on musically?
I live in north of San Antonio, Texas, in a place called Cibolo, Texas now. And I've been doing a jazz jam on Thursday nights at a place called the Dakota East Side Ice House. Sometimes I'll if they ask me, I'll be the house bassist for the night. Usually I just show up and participate. And just in the last few weeks, I've been doing open mics here are different than what I'm used to. In Phoenix, when I was Phoenix, if I would go to an open mic, it was usually just, guy with his guitar goes up there, does a cover, does a couple originals or a couple of covers and an original, and then somebody else goes up and does the same thing. And so I would go up there with my fretless and do some songs on fretless, something off menu from what I would say, since I'm not up there with a 6-string. And I'm not doing covers because, I did one cover at one time. Wind Cries Mary by Jimi Hendrix. That was fun. But
It's a great song.
here they like whoever's doing the open mic, they'll provide like a drum set, guitar amp, bass amp, keyboards. So if nobody wants to go up there and play, they'll ask if they want anyone else to play with them. And so they'll ask if there's any bass players or drummers or whatever. So a guy that I know from the jazz jam's like, dude, nobody shows up to play bass on Tuesday from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. at this open mic. Why don't you come? So I started doing that on Tuesday nights, and basically playing all night long, playing whatever, whether somebody's doing a country tune or a Tejano tune, or something, just whatever they want to play, and then I just play along with it. It's a lot of fun. Gets me to, spread out my chops, that kind of thing. But other than that, I'm not.
It's got to keep it pretty fresh.
Yeah, I don't have any I'm not in a band, so I'm not doing any gigs that way, and I haven't set up a solo gig in a while. I'd love to. What I want to do is on this bad boy back here. I want to get back into some bowing work, classical stuff. So I'd like to learn like a couple of shorter, mellow classical pieces just to play, and maybe go out and do that somewhere. That would be fun.
Have you ever tried your hand at cello?
No, I've never tried playing cello. No, because I have that.
You get the bruiser behind you.
No cello, nothing like that. Like I said, the only other instrument I've ever messed around with is a 6-string, just basic stuff.
Do you miss the road? Would you go back on the road ever? The chance came out.
Yes, I miss the road in the sense of playing different places, for different audiences in different towns. I miss that aspect of it, but I don't miss the drama that can occur because of it sometimes. But yeah, I mean,
fair enough.
Sure, it's always, when you're playing with a group of people that and they them musically, they know you musically, and you're able to just make really special, wonderful moments happen on stage. Yeah, I totally miss that. I mean, every now and then there's a glimpse of that, like on a Thursday or on a Tuesday. There's a glimpse of that, but that is something that, that intimate musical moment. Like one time when we were doing the road trip with HR, we were playing this one song. I know I wrote it in a journal, but we were playing this one song, and we went from that song straight into Dancing Souls, which is in a different key, but Jamie Mitchell, who was playing at the time guitar, he played the, do, 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 do. He played that in the key that we were in. And then Sam just goes, bam! And we were right into the song, where we were supposed to be. And it was just it just flowed. It was just this moment that was just so, still to this day, I'm like, yeah, because it was just this wonderful flow. Those moments, I miss. I miss those moments. Absolutely.
It's like an organic, just like boom.
That's a question we're gonna have to start asking our guest is
What's
that-
that moment on
yeah,
stage?
like that one moment on stage where it was just like, dude, this is it. This, because everybody has that one story. Now, okay, what's your worst memory on stage?
Oh man.
Have you ever had one?
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody's had one.
well, we had this one show where I don't know, something happened. It didn't work out with the sound system. I think it was in a church, and we had to we kind of did like this acoustic thing, and it worked, but it didn't, and it just wasn't. It was all around just kind of like blah. Eh. But I don't know if there was like a worst moment on stage. I can't really think of one. I'm sure there has to be one. What band doesn't have a bad thing like that? Or the gig that you go to and it turns out to be a band rehearsal because whoever was supposed to promote it didn't promote it, so nobody's there except you and maybe the opener or you and your road crew, and you're just like, let's just work it out. Let's just do a show, And I hope the chairs appreciate it. Crazy.
One of the worst shows I ever played, but it was a great show, was in Spartanburg, North or South Carolina, and it was a venue. Sepultura was there like the night after, and Hate Breed was the night before something, and we go on the stage. The only person there was the bartender. Not even the promoter showed up. Never. Liar. We're from LA. Like, there was no opening bands. We were the only band, and we were like, we're here. Let's just set up our gear, and we recorded, videotaped the show, and nobody was there, but it was fun because, we're here. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah,
but it was the worst show, but one of the best nights.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever get to play CBGB?
No. Never went to New York.
Oh, wow.
Never gonna. Ugh. Well, listen, I got to tie this up because I got to get back out. I've got a crew working on the warehouse behind me.
It's 8 o'clock. All right.
It's 8 o'clock. You guys can keep going if you want.
Beat it.
Okay.
Beat it. I don't need you.
I
don't need you. This should be, you know what you should do with Gizz Lazlo?
Then you know what you should do?
Just beat it.
It was wonderful to meet you. I got to go tie these guys in. I got a really early call and been a really late night. So you guys have at it. I will talk to you when I talk to you.
All right.
Mark, good to meet you. I'll see you again.
Nice to meet you. Take care, man.
Yeah, finally, it's my show. Yeah. now you're gonna see what talent really looks like. Well, again, man, if it wasn't for you and your brother, I don't think I would be here in this moment right now. You guys started something. You guys lit a fire in me that I knew I could be, what punk rock is, different. You didn't need following, but just do what you believe in and do what the best of your abilities. That's what I love about punk rock. You don't have to be an accomplished musician to do what we do. I mean, that was the one thing that impressed me about you guys was you guys were talented. You didn't see that a lot, especially in punk rock. It was just those, 4 chords or whatever. As a drummer, I don't know. As a singer, I don't know what chords are. I just feel music. But you guys made me feel something, and it lit a fire in me. And here I am 40 years later, and I'm still doing exactly what I do because of what you guys presented to me. Don't be scared. You do what you do, and have fun.
Yeah, I'll always
definitely have. It's in us. It's in us. If if you don't play, then maybe it was never you. You know, I grew up with a lot of guys that, you know, are phenomenal musicians, but yet maybe it was family or whatever that they stopped doing it. But, you know, only the strong survive. You know, only the ones that have heart continue doing it. You know, I respect, like, you know, bands like, off the top of my head, like Cinderella, who, you know, were on top of the world, but yet they do what they do because they love doing it. They don't need that. They don't need to play arenas in order to have fun playing music. And, you know,
Yeah.
I've been blessed enough to play festivals and, you know, play to 50,000 people. And I've been blessed enough to play in front of one, you know, and it's all the same. It's, you know, have fun, go on that stage. And, you know, and I respect you because every Tuesday, Thursday, you go and you do it. You know, it doesn't, you know, you do it because you love it. And
Yeah, it wasn't.
those who do,
I mean, I say that now, like I'll always play, but um, I would say that from when I left Scattered Few in '95 until maybe 2006, I didn't touch my bass because I would take it out of the closet and I would play, and it was just depressing. It just made me sad. So I'd wipe it off, put it back in its case, put it back in the closet, walk away. So there was at least 10 years where I I couldn't, and I didn't. And it broke my heart. You know, every year was just so sad because there were melodies and tunes that I had in my head and that I wanted to get out, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Yeah, that was very weird. And what changed that is when um, I this is back when Bush was president. He sent everybody like a $2,000 check or whatever, and I spent a couple $100 of that to buy this Dean fretless acoustic bass. And I was waiting for it to be delivered, and my brothers and I were going to go to San Diego to rally around my sister because she was going through being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so we went to go rally around her. And my brother and I did some impromptu wine bar thing where he's on guitar, I'm on bass, and we're playing some Scattered Few songs. And you can find it online, YouTube, Don and Drew TV. You can find it. It's him and I doing this. I think he's just got one song on there. But yeah, we did some songs, and we hadn't played together in years, and that was fun. And me getting that acoustic bass was so that I could start noodling, and that basically became what the solo disc, that one right there, that I released in 2010. Yeah. So that, that, and then from there I just continued to play because I couldn't just put it in the closet anymore. It wasn't going to work, So
hold on a quick second. Go to my car, open the passenger rear door. Yeah, and there's a twisty in there.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, man.
The laser cut just exploded. Like,
Really? So go on. Sorry about that.
No. Yeah. But I mean, so from then until now, I've been playing, continuously. So yeah, that 10 years was rough.
I can't even imagine it, man. Like when we were talking the other night, I was telling you that, there's a lot of my friends who, you know, back in the late 90s, they quit playing and then came back in, the 2010s. So there was that 10-year gap where, a decade of not playing, since, since, again, since I met you at 15, I've never stopped, and my friends tell me, like, dude, how can you do that? Yes, a lot of it has to do with, I never had kids, so that allowed me that opportunity to go on the road and fall in love with it,
Yeah.
again, growing up, Christian punk kid, Mexican from Solon, California, and being able to travel the world, making, almost on 300 records that I've been a part of, singing or playing drums or percussion. And it's just one of the things that I've never done is say no in music, because you never know what that one opportunity is going to lead to another opportunity. And for me, I've never, weaned from that. Like you call me on Tuesday, tell me we're going on the road on Friday. I'll be ready. I'll be ready. I don't need to rehearse. I don't need to jam or anything. I'll meet you at the airport. I'll meet you at the bus station, wherever, and let's hit the road. Or you need me for a record? No, I'm there. But again, man, like, in all honesty and with a whole heart, I thank you and your brother for giving me that, that little bit of time that I spent with you, and to know what I wanted to do, because you guys believed in yourselves and you guys did something different, and I wanted to do that, and I've done that in my 40-year career because of you guys. You opened the doors and the windows and everything to what I could be. Don't be scared, and believe in yourself. And it's such an honor, to say that I grew up with these guys. There's so many people when you talk about music, and I'm talking all over the world. I met a Romanian guy one night, and we were talking about music, and oh yeah, he mentioned a couple of bands. One of them was a band called Deliverance. Yeah, I like metal. I like Deliverance. I go, I know those guys, Jimmy Brown. Jimmy Brown. I know that guy. Oh, you know Christian music? And I was like, yeah, oh yeah. So he brought up Vengeance, and from Vengeance, there was Scattered Few, and Crucified, and a bunch of other bands. And this guy and I, we sat down and we talked, all night about, my childhood. It was such an honor, like Striper, like those guys, they were a weird hair metal band, but it opened my eyes to appreciate something, because they were brave enough. I mean, the balls on those guys to open up for Slayer on a Heaven and Hell tour in Latin America. It's a beautiful thing. And again, to you and Ronald Allen, if HR can call Ronald, I will continue to call Ronald.
That's funny.
And again, I would love to interview Alan, but there's a couple of people in my life that I know, and they're idols, icons, legends to me. And in the brief conversations that I've had with them, I don't want to interview them because I don't ever want to break that this vision I have of them.
Right, right.
And I don't know why, but I think your brother would be one of those guys where, not that it would be bad, but it would break my heart. That not that the interview would go out awry, but I have a deep respect for and even now I get tongue tied. Is it Alan? Is it Rommel?
Sure.
It's I never want to tarnish that memory. As much as I would love to sit down with him, and we could have we could break bread together, and have a civil conversation, and everything goes good. And it's like, oh, okay, I get that feeling now. And then I would sit down with him. But with you, I got the inspiration when we were booking this year. I wanted one of my first interviews. Like, I wanted to go back, and I want to talk about where I came from, because a lot of people really don't know where I came from, and to be here with you, again, man, it warms my heart to be here talking to you and thanking you for you had a lot to do with my younger years. And
cool.
And again, man,
glad to be of service.
Can't thank you enough for yeah. Like 40 years I've been doing this, man. 40 years this year. It was 85 when my dream started coming true, playing punk rock music. And you and your brother were a huge part of that. Rich and Sean, they introduced me to your music and introduced me to you guys. And then what was it, 8 years ago when I met Randy, and he brought that back into my life. Like, oh yeah, you remember Scattered Few? Like, he was trying to. It was almost like he was trying to, like, oh yeah, you think you know, you think you know.
Like one up you.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I know the Scattered Few. Like, dude, I know the Scattered Few. I've played with them, I've shared the. I was
That's
there,
funny.
man. I was there. And then he called Alan. And then Alan chastised me about calling him Rommel. I'll never forget that. I felt like a piece of trash for like a minute, maybe 30 seconds.
Oh man.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Anything else you want to talk about? Any stories? Anything that like.
A while ago,
Anything you want to
years ago, I had gone through a journal I was writing at the time. Back then, when we were playing with HR, and one of the things that just blew my mind in my entry was that we had done this show with HR at a place called Bogart's, and I was surprised. A place called Bogart's in Long Beach. I don't think it exists anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
But I remember that place.
There was an opener. There was us, a Scattered Few, and then we went back on as HR, doing the charge record and other songs. And what blew my mind is in that entry, I said that the opener was a young Bay Area youth band, kind of a ska reggae band who played really well. Their name was Sublime. And my brain just went, because I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that Sublime had opened that night. And then like a couple years later, Sublime was playing for HR. So that was kind of cool back in the day. And then some fan of theirs reached out to me back in the MySpace days. And they were they wanted to know if I was that bass player. And he sent me an audio clip of Brad freestyling at the end of their set, mentioning Scattered Few and HR, which was just really cool. Yeah, it was really neat to have that.
Brad,
so
I was on.
There's the story.
Yeah, I got to know Brad too. My band For Sale, this pop punk band that I had when I was going through cancer in 92, 93. We got to open, I think we for them in San Diego. It was a small club. I can't, the name escapes me right now, but it was us. The second band was a band called Blink, before they were Blink 182, and Sublime. And I remember that night hanging out in the parking lot and hanging out with Brad. And he was such a kind guy, and I was very honest. I still am, but when it comes to music, I would 100% tell you if I like it or not. And I don't like ska. I'm not a big ska guy. And I was like, hey, you got to give it, and ska tunes I really didn't like, and he laughed, and we had a great time. We shared pizza and some Budweisers, and just hung out, and but it made me a fan because he was such a nice guy. And everybody knows I'm not a fan of ska, but Sublime, they were one of those bands. Like, hey, yeah, I do, like your music. It's, again, the honesty in music is what fuels me. And like MXPX, I love those guys, and I just, I don't know, but when I talk about any Christian punk band, I always have to go, well, if it wasn't for the Scattered few, then there wouldn't be that subgenre, there wouldn't be that honesty in music. And, it fueled me. Again, I can never thank you enough, and I will never stop talking about it. If it wasn't for you guys, I would not be the man that I am, the musician that I am. None of anything that I've done, it all began because of you guys. You guys made me think different, like outside the box, and I don't need to be accepted. I want to be accepted, but I don't need to be. I'm so comfortable in my own skin now. And again, if it wasn't for that, for you guys, man, I would not be the.
It's a Gen X thing.
Human.
It is.
But, brother, I hope. Yeah, it is. But I hope to see your face soon. I know my band's coming through Texas soon this summer. If we're ever in, San Antonio or anywhere near, I definitely want to hook up.
Austin's only 2 hours away, so if you guys go to Austin, let me know.
All right, I will, brother. Thank you so much. Stick around in the green room, and we'll talk offline. But let's wrap this up. And dude, once again, thank you so much for doing our show.
Yeah,
it's
thanks for
an
asking.
honor and privilege just to. All right, brother. So let me get to the screen, and I'll talk to you in 1 second. All right. All right. Paul's gone. He's out working. Thank you for coming and enjoying our show. You don't even know what an honor it has been to do this show tonight, and to share it with you guys. Next week, let me double check who we have in. Let's see here. Next week we have Amy 80 from T80, Arizona punk band, great friends of mine. We had her husband jamming in here last year, so now we're going to interview her. So come back next week. You know what you should do? Join us next week for another special episode. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Cheers.